well-received speech. You got to go first. I think you did a pretty good opening round.
Thank you.
What was your goal here today? What's your goal at this convention?
Well, it's to earn the votes of the folks in this room and to let them know a bit about the fact that I'm prepared to fight, and I'm prepared to fight for them. I'm prepared to fight for the best of who we are as a nation. I'm prepared to fight for our future. So it was all of that.
You have a strong organization here in South Carolina. This is an important state for you.
Yes.
You know, just to be honest, this is a heavily African-American state. There are two African-American candidates, yourself and Senator Cory Booker. This is a must-win place or show. What's your strategy to win South Carolina?
Well, frankly, Joy, it's a strategy everywhere. I know that I need to earn people's support, and so that's going to take work, and rightly. You know, I've never run nationally before, so I'm not as well known as some of the other candidates who have been national figures and have run for president before so many times. So it's about being on the ground and working hard and spending time here, meeting with community leaders, meeting with families, and being responsive. And frankly, especially at this phase of the campaign, it's very important to me that I listen as much, if not more, than I talk. And mostly because, I mean, I'll tell you, I fully intend to win this election. I fully intend to win.
And, you know, it's interesting because you are a prosecutor. It's kind of the defining feature of your career before being a United States Senator. Yeah. And that's been harmful to you, and it's been good for you, right? There are certain elements of it that people have said, well, that makes me a little nervous. But today, what I saw you do was to try to take that prosecutorial stance against Donald Trump and to essentially litigate against him. And you said, let's prosecute that case. You used that line in your speech.
Because there's a lot of evidence. I mean, look, any good prosecutor relies on evidence.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of good evidence to say that the current occupant of the White House should not be there much longer because he has failed to do the job. He has failed to do the job of keep his promise to the American people. I mean, I went through a list of issues. He said he was going to fight for health care, but he wants to revive the assault on the Affordable Care Act and stand in the way of Medicare for All, which I support. He has said that he was going to help working people. He passed a tax bill benefiting the top 1% and the biggest corporations in this country. Last year, the top 60 biggest corporations paid no taxes. Meanwhile, you've got half of American families almost in our country who cannot afford to get through the end of the month with a $400 unexpected expense. And that number's from the Federal Reserve. Literally, for almost half of American families, they cannot afford a $400 unexpected expense. So there is a lot of evidence to prosecute against this case, but I will tell you that part of my speech was also focused on what I believe we all must focus on, which is the future. As far as I'm concerned, and I think most of the people in this hall would say, it's a given that this president is not appropriately representing the American people. But the question then becomes what next? And that's that's the main part of my focus, which is what's next. What is our vision for the future?
Right.
Because we need to take our, we have to be in a state of mind where we understand there's so much worth fighting for, but also the world is passing us by. Part of the problem with this president is he has made us weaker, and we have got to regain our strength. We have got to invest in the American people, the American worker. We have to invest in a vision of the future where we think about what is going to be our standing in an increasingly changing world. Those are the things I'm focused on.
And just let you know that your mic is popping just a little bit. Maybe move your hair. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, we have a. It's a. There we go. Your hair looks great, but we want to move it a little bit to the mic. Now, I mean, so you're from California, obviously, state of California, a big military state, lots of military bases. This president is now. He sort of threatened war with Iran, pulled it back. There has been no congressional vote on taking military action against Iran. At this stage, is it appropriate to say that this president might be a bit dangerous? I mean, there is an erratic nature to his decision-making that now potentially includes war. That would heavily affect the people in your state.
He is someone who does not understand the power of the presidency of the United States. I truly believe that. And so he conducts foreign policy by tweet. And, we laugh about that. But let's think about that for a moment. There is plenty of evidence to suggest he does not read briefing documents. There is plenty of evidence to suggest that he does not consult with the generals, with former ambassadors, with current or former experts who have been part of the State Department. There's plenty of evidence to suggest he does not consult with our allies. There's plenty of evidence to suggest that his ego is what drives his decisions instead of national security. And that's a real problem.
We don't have a Secretary of Defense at the moment,
Correct.
and the actings have been defense contractors. You're in the United States Senate. Is there someone credible who could even get confirmed at this point as Secretary of Defense? Could the current acting get confirmed?
I don't know, honestly, Joy. I don't know. I mean, part of the problem with this administration is they don't do their homework. so they don't vet their candidates. You know, again, there's so many decisions that appear to be made by this president that are made based on women fancy, and it's a dangerous world we live in. It's a dangerous world, and we have got to have a president who understands the seriousness of the decisions, and also understand that we cannot afford to have decisions being made that are purely transactional in nature. The decisions the President of the United States makes as relates to our friends around the world it's also about relationship building. And that means building relationships of trust, building relationships where America keeps her word. And we are now at a point where many nations wonder if ever they can trust the United States and the president again.
Senator Elizabeth Warren has taken the stage. We're going to tape her in. We're going to tape her remarks, and then we'll play them back for the audience afterwards. I want to keep talking with you, and so audience, we are going to hear Elizabeth Warren as well. I love the fact that all of you senators are all friends with each other, so you all understand that, which is great. I wonder about another issue, and it's not just about California, because honestly, listen, I grew up in Colorado, I live in New York. It horrifies everyone, no matter where you're from. The conditions that we're now finding out that children, infants, babies, toddlers are in these ECLs, in these, what they call the icebox. The fact that families are being detained much longer than the law provides that they should be. And that now Donald Trump wants to round up more people, more abuelas and kids, and put them in these cages.
Exactly right.
What is Congress going to do about it?
Well, we have to act, and we have to take action immediately. I mean, we have tried to, we have bipartisan bills that the leader, the Senate leader, will not put on the floor, and I believe part of it is because this president has indicated he won't sign it. We have bills that are bipartisan in efforts to deal with dreamers, to deal with what we can do in steps towards comprehensive immigration reform. Remember, years ago, it even passed the Senate. But, you know, let's understand to the point that you're making where we are right now. We have a president who has said that he's going to basically begin mass deportations. And Joy, I'm going to tell you, I know these families, I meet with these families, I talk with these families. They are terrified. We're talking about, again, a situation that impacts real people where babies, children are afraid to go to school because they're afraid when they come home their parent will not be there. We have parents who are afraid to take their children to the pediatrician because if they go out of their home and if they go into a hospital or a clinic, they may be picked up and arrested. This is so contrary to who we say we are in terms of our values. There's a way to address what we need to do with immigration, which is to confront the issue head on and pass comprehensive immigration reform with a pathway towards citizenship. But instead, we have a president who has vilified immigrants and who is really acting contrary to who we are in terms of our values. You don't put children in cages. You don't separate children from their parents. You don't really just flick off, which is what he's done. Families who are fleeing murder capitals of the world, instead of understanding America with her broad arms, her strong arms, should be embracing people who flee harm and giving them a place of refuge and at least a process by which we can determine if they should get refuge.
And you, like myself, are half Caribbean, half West Indian. Because, and I can tell you that in New York, the West Indian community is not unafraid either.
I know.
Because the targeting is brown immigrants, but black immigrants understand that we're next in line, right?
No, and not only that, because look what he did around TPS and temporary protective status for Haitians. You can look at what's happening. African immigrants from the continent. I mean, a continent which he referred to countries as being, I won't say that word, S-hole. You're absolutely right. Black immigrants from the Caribbean, from the continent of Africa are equally afraid. And rightly, based on the words that he speaks.
Absolutely. Jose Antonio Vargas is going to be on the show tomorrow, and he talks a lot about that intersectionality between black and brown and Asian immigrants that are all afraid. If you become president of the United States, when you become president of the United States, how do you change this? Because one of the challenges I think a lot of people face is a loss of hope, a loss of a sense that this is a country that's based on hope. Donald Trump almost reverse that Barack Obama had created, and a loss of faith around the world in us.
Yeah.
How would a President Kamala Harris restore the world's faith in us?
So it will certainly be by words, but it's also going to be about actions. I mean, immediately it would be re-entering the Paris Agreement. Immediately it would be about renewing our relationships with our NATO allies. Immediately it would be about renewing our relationships with the EU. Immediately it would be about taking back a place of leadership on the issue of climate change that I actually call the climate crisis. There have to be actions that are taken, steps that are taken that make clear the values of who we are as a country. And when we are elected, I think it is going to be a very strong statement about who we are as a nation, and that will be projected to our friends around the world, that is really who America is.
Yeah. And in closing, I want to get you to talk to the voters. So this is a 61% African-American primary. Black voters, it seems to me, have gone through this arc of dreaming about a black president, of achieving the first black president, and then of having the redemption period after Reconstruction, essentially, with Donald Trump, which is what Bishop William Barber has called this era. And that backlash has made a lot of African-American voters, particularly older African-American voters, very reticent to trust their fellow Americans and to therefore themselves believe in the idea of nominating a person of color, let alone a woman of color, and believing that their fellow Americans would actually elect that person. A lot of that reticence is part of what is making Joe Biden such a strong candidate, right? I hear black people tell me all the time, only a white man can get elected and beat Donald Trump, that's where they are. And these are people who voted for Barack Obama. How do you convince those people to take a chance on not just a woman of color, I mean, not just a person of color, but a woman of color?
Yeah. The main message that I have is that you, meaning each of the folks that we're talking about, can actually determine the outcome of this. And so let's not wait for other people to make the decision for us. And that relates to any voter, regardless of their age or their race. But certainly on this point, remember what happened in 2008. After President Obama won Iowa, then there was a sense, this could happen.
I can believe,
But South Carolina, black voters, every voter, if you are active, you can make a difference. And so we have to know the power that we each have to actually determine the outcome of this election. Because truly, I mean, that's what the theme of my campaign. It's Kamala Harris for the people. And that means for the people, of the people, by the people. The people will determine the outcome. And this is the consolation and the optimism I have, Joy. Folks are woke. Folks are woke up after November 2016 and realized, and this is the most important point, realize you cannot sit back and count on other people to do the right thing for you. If we are active, we win.
Senator Kamala Harris, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you.
You did a great speech today, and we will see you on the campaign trail.
Thank you for everything
you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Really appreciate it. And now let us let you hear.